One of the areas of blockchain that I'm most passionate about is how blockchain will radically transform video games in the coming years. Blockchain brings ownership and value capture by the players in ways that was never possible before. Now, what do I mean by value capture? Well, imagine this. Imagine way back in 2003 when World of Warcraft launched, that they had sold, say, land for the game, and you bought some land in an area that later became super populated, and you didn't just buy that land, but you owned that land as, say, an NFT. Well, the game then attracted millions and millions of players, and that land would have a value. And let's say it does have that value, and down the road, that land has an extreme value, and you could then sell that land and capture the value from it. Or perhaps you had become really good at forging swords, and you had perfected your sword crafting skills, and you were one of the few that could make the top level swords. And these sold at a high premium because so few had developed the skills in the game to make such high level swords, and your job was literally making and selling swords in a video game. That is going to be possible. But that did never happen in World of Warcraft because all video game value was trapped, and the only ones making money from it were the game developers. But what if there was a way through blockchain to give you ownership to where value could be earned and made by the player, and the game maker could also become very rich or more rich than any game maker in history by creating a game to where people love to come and play because not only is it fun, but it has real extractable value there. That is where blockchain gaming is going, and where traditional games are totally missing it. Today we have joining us the CEO of a game and a blockchain that I think gets it. Do note I'm highly biased towards this blockchain and the game. I invest a lot of funds in the blockchain and work as an advisor to the game, but there are very strong reasons why it attracted my investment and my time into Devvio and Litcraft and what they're doing. And I love the direction that Tom has taken both Devvio and especially Litcraft. So we're limited on time. We'll talk just a touch about Devvio, but most of the questions will be focused on their game, Litcraft. Welcome, everyone, to the Crypto Rain channel and our family. Let's jump right into the interview. And I want to, if you haven't already, make it rain on that like button and strap in for the show as Tom joins us. Also, do note, none of this is financial advice. Tom, thanks so much for joining us.
Great. Thanks for having me, as always.
Yeah, we appreciate it. You've joined us a number of times, but it's been a while, and you've had some massive updates to Litcraft that I wanted you to share. And I was really blown away when we talked over a call a couple months ago, and you were showing me all the updates that were coming out and that what is now released in Litcraft. But for those that don't know Litcraft, could you give us an overview of what Litcraft and Litcraft experience particularly is?
Sure. Yeah, so I liked your introduction, kind of leading into the discussion today. I think play to own is going to be a huge category in the entire video games industry. When you look back at kind of milestones in the video game industry along the way, there was in the early days you just bought a cartridge or then ultimately a CD-ROM. Then kind of early 2000s there was MMOs where you bought a subscription. The app stores came out in kind of the late 2000s, and that started opening free-to-play games. One of the big models now is just free-to-play games where you buy skins and things like that. And I think when you look at those big milestones, play to own as opposed to play to earn, but play to own, where you own the assets in the game, is another of these big categories that's going to drive the video game industry. And I think once people have played a video game for a while, and then everything that they earn in the game they own outside of the game's context, once you've played that way, you're never going to go back to the old way of playing. It's going to become table stakes. So that's where I describe it as kind of a fundamental change, a fundamental transition in the entire video game industry, not just blockchain gaming. So our game, Litcraft Experience, is a game that's built around that philosophy, around this play to own, concept, and the idea that you can earn. A lot of the early games in the blockchain gaming space were, kind of described as play to earn. So I think earning is a part of it, right? If you own the assets, you can sell them. But really, the main concept is this play to own, which is what Nesperience is again built around. So you go into Nesperience, and it mimics a lot of the different kinds of gameplay that are tried and true and proven. So the kind of initial gameplay is similar to Minecraft, where you go and you start digging out items. Then it expands into other what we call earning games that are also big genres. So things like Match 3, like Candy Crush Saga. There's a merge game that's kind of like Merge Dragons or Evermerge, which are another popular genre on mobile. There's games that are just kind of simple, like fruit, popping game. But then there's other kind of classics like Solitaire or Sudoku, games that, many millions of people have played many millions of hours, right? They're, again, tried and true and proven games. And so anybody can come in and find the gameplay that they like, play and earn items that they own outside of the game's context. And then the other thing that Nesperience does that I think is unique in the gaming industry and the blockchain gaming space is that it ties all of those interactions together. So Nesperience to me is less about a specific game and more about creating a digital financial ecosystem, an ecosystem where everybody's interactions all coordinate into a much larger ecosystem, financial ecosystem that has a lot of flow between items. So, for example, if you play Sudoku, you earn accounting points, and those accounting points can be used in a business. Or if you run into our new kind of like 3D land, lit land, where you can run around, you can do quests, get items, and then those items you can craft with items that you played solitaire to get, and you craft items from different places to get more and more sophisticated and valuable and complex items. So Litcraft and Experience ties all of these different types of tried and true and proven game concepts into one big financial ecosystem. So that's kind of the main point and summary of it.
Yeah, it's fascinating, all the integrations that you have that allow for specialization. So people can play the types of things that they're interested in that earn certain components and become really good at them, like the pickaxe crafting, right? Some people have gotten so good at that. Like, I only get so far. And so I realized that's okay. I'm just going to buy from the higher level pickaxes that some people have gotten really good at making, because, yeah, the amount of time it would take me to get there, it's actually just less expensive for me as far as the value of my time to buy a high level pickaxe from somebody that's learned how to do it and is exceptionally good and make those.
Yeah.
And so you have all kinds of specialization, because the pickaxe is just one of the what's growing into hundreds of areas of specialization.
Yeah, our users who have been, we have a really solid user base, a good solid number of daily active users that really are kind of creating the foundation for, I think, where we're going to be growing. And it's a great group of folks. I interact with them almost daily. And when we released our version 4 release, V4, so Litcraft Experience has been around for, I think, 5 years now. I think the longest running blockchain game, so it's been running for a long time. For most of its time, it was a test bed for our blockchain, the DevX blockchain. But then after Axie Infinity exploded, we saw a big opportunity. And so we launched it as its own product, and it's been going great. And we've been continuing to grow and expand it. So our users that have been playing after we launched V4, which is the version that we launched on Earth Day this year, April 22nd, is the first version that really focuses around this digital financial ecosystem. And I see that really as the future of where the company is headed overall. And people have been playing it and they're like, oh, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that. And I get on and I'm like, that's kind of the point. Like, the game has gotten so expansive that you can't do everything. And it's like real life. If you're a baker, creating a bakery, you don't go and plow your own field and grow your own wheat, right? You just buy a bag of flour. You don't, get a legal degree, you hire a lawyer. You don't get an accounting degree, you hire an accountant, right? And so all the things you need to do to run your business, you focus on what you want to focus on. You're a baker, so you create baked goods, and then you let other people do the things that they like. And so it's really kind of analogous to real life in that sense.
Yeah, do you mind sharing with people some of what you're talking about so they can start to picture those? Obviously, we have some people in the chat that might be somewhat familiar with it. I know some of my community has been deep into playing it. In fact, they've followed it since its first launch, and some haven't really seen it yet.
Yeah, yeah, I can share.
Perfect.
All right, so here, let me bring up. Okay. Okay. So you're able to see
Yeah.
it?
There we go.
Okay, good. So this is the Minecraft type of the gameplay that you first start out, and so you start out and you get these tasks, and the tasks take you kind of step by step through the game. As you finish the tasks, you complete them, and then you can see the completed tasks, so that you get the real kind of basic ones. They teach you how to craft, um, teach you how to interact with our community, how to grow different types of magical equipment in the merge game, how to grow a business, things like that, right? So the very first kind of initial tasks are you start digging out through the land, and then as you start digging out, you'll find these red gems, and then you can use the red gems to play one of the earning games. And so, as you start collecting things, you complete a couple of the tasks, and then you can go into these various earning games. And again, a lot of them are just kind of classic earning games or classic video games that people love to play. So here's a game, and I was kind of midway in it. So this is a game where you can this is the pickaxe game you were talking about, where you slide things until you can kind of get things lined up how you want to get them lined up. Okay, so move that guy there. Let's see if we can. And one of the tricks on this I found, different people have different strategies, is kind of keep the highest level item up here, but you don't have to do it that way. So if I put that there, here, oh, okay, and then this 4 can slide into this 4, and eventually I can turn this into 6 and kind of work it up. But again, there's different strategies, and there's people that are really good at this game. So you can get up to a level 11 pickaxe is really tough. 12, or only a few people can get. Then there's even a 13 and a 14, and there's a couple people in our community can get 13s, and nobody's gotten a 14 yet. But I think it's mathematically possible. And then you can come into the red gems game, and you lay out these red gems and a different type of gameplay. You can kind of build these up. Um, there's a game where you can build different kinds of magic. So you have this magic emitter, and then you can kind of build up, you know, higher and higher level magic. So now we have yellow body magic, and then you can combine two yellows to get green. Ultimately, you can red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then white. So it takes a while to get the highest level magic. Like 10 minutes to kind of get one of each. This game also has different kinds of coins that you can earn. So physical magic and scene magic creates attraction. Physical and scene, creates attraction. That makes sense, right? And then it's a pretty deep game. So there's many different levels of these kinds. So attraction and fate, no. Attraction and kindness, fate and kindness, no. Those don't make a match. So you can go through and you can try to find so integrity, um, physical and spiritual creates love. Love and integrity doesn't make anything, right? So you could go through and kind of build these, and these coins you can use to craft. We've got this merge game. This merge game is one of kind of the more in-depth games we've got. So you can build out. So you just merge 5 different things at a time. So here we've got 4 keys, and you put a 5th key on. And then here we've got 4 of these kind of keys. We just made these 2. So now you can create these 2 kind of keys. And so you merge, deeper and deeper type of things. Then ultimately you get these rune stones as you merge, the boxes. You ultimately get this key 4, and you get a box 4. They turn into rune stones. Rune stones unlock the map. And so rune stones let give you land points, and land points unlock these. So I don't have any land points right now, but here I can collect one of these. Now I've got some land points, and now I can start unlocking the land, and you unlock the land and eventually get up to where you can start crafting amulets, and then you can get into these other lands. You can craft swords and wands and things, and then you can sell those on the business. So then a couple of the big concepts then is you can build different kinds of businesses. Officiant is a manufacturer. Mining you use with the mining items that you gather. There's a couple different types of mining plots. There's a business plot where you can get other types of really kind of more valuable metals once you start a mining business. Um, and you could sell those in your mining business. And then you have to get other kinds of items like Gion, freshwater. So Gion is energy, freshwater. Opsonaut is really kind of marketing points that we use to then grow and expand the community. And then you can level up these businesses as well. So this is a level 0 kind of gig business. If you get up to a level 1 mining business, then you start to need accounting and legal points. Again, just like a real life business. And then you can create this manufacturing business. We just put this out where we had it in the designs for V4, but we've been working out some kinks, so the community is just first starting to do it. So in this business, instead of kind of earning heptals in-game currency, you can craft specific items. So I'm kind of jumping around between different things, but I'm showing some of the different concepts in the game. And then we've got, again, just kind of classic games as well. So if you like Sudoku, you can just come in and just play Sudoku, right? So 1 on this row, a 1 on this row, which means there's 1 in this row, can't be this one, so that one is a 1, right? And then you can 1, 1, that one's a 1. And this is kind of an easy level. We have medium and hard levels as well. And so you can play Sudoku, and then in Sudoku, again, you earn accounting points. If you get it finished quick enough, then you actually earn expertise tokens. And then one of the big games that we have is our Heptone Battle. And so the Heptone Battle is a card battling game. And you can craft lit pets, on the blockchain. So you actually craft them on the blockchain. And then as you craft them, they've got characteristics. They got powers, they've got attack, defense, classic battling, types of things. Actually, I think I ran into a problem. So let me restart that. So here I'm gonna.
So while you're working on that, I wanted to show
sharing and reshare. Oh, go ahead. You can show the video.
While you're pulling that back up, do you mind if I share? So what is all of this running on? So there's a lot of interactions here. What blockchain are you running Litcraft on?
Yeah, so this is the DevX blockchain. And so I founded Devvio. Just a quick, background on my history. I'm an experienced entrepreneur. My first business was a robotics business, and then in that business, I raised about $34 million. Took the company public, created the world's first consumer 3D touch device, and with that, got into the video game industry. So a lot of my career was in the video game space. In the video game space, I licensed about $100 million of video game development that we sold and published that worked with our hardware device. And to make a long story short, sold our IP to Facebook. So that was my first business. My second business is Devvio. Started Devvio 7-8 years ago. I saw enormous opportunity in the blockchain space. To me, blockchain is one of the few technologies that we'll see in our lifetime that fundamentally changes computing on par with the internet. Where the internet was a disruptive platform that lets people transfer data, blockchain is a disruptive platform that lets people transfer value. And if you look at it at that most basic level, that's where we saw world-changing implications. So my company now, I'm the CEO of Devvio, created the DevX blockchain, and it can process millions of transactions per second. We're millionths of the cost of Ethereum, billionths of the energy usage of Bitcoin, and we've built a RESTful API into it where any of the world's 25 million web developers can instantly integrate just using HTTP post commands. Like any web developer can instantly integrate with our blockchain. And so the sum is that, and then the last thing about our blockchain is we have a sharding algorithm where that's different from sharding and anything else. It's very different from Ethereum's sharding, for example. And in our sharding, we can create any number of new blockchains or independent blockchains called shards, and we can customize those shards to a particular use case. So that's the thing that we do that nobody else in the blockchain space does. And when you combine that with our speed and our cost, and our throughput, and then especially the ease of integration. Any customer that comes to us can say, we want to run a blockchain application. We want to use blockchain for the things that blockchain does well. We can spin up a shard for them, customize it to their application use, and have their regular web team, their regular development team, easily integrate with it. And no other blockchain can do that. So it's a really powerful, blockchain technology.
Yeah, do you mind if I share? This is a video that you recently released that kind of does a really quick overview, and I think it explains everything really well.
Sure, that sounds great. So I'm not able to hear it myself.
In the audience, are you guys able to hear this? This is live. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Tom's saying he can't hear it. I might have to. There's a different way I can add it if not. Justin has a comment. Wait till Minecraft gets on chain. Actually, we're going to cover something like that. Okay, no sound on the video range, so something I messed up. Let's see.
While you're figuring that out too, I can kind of show the heptone battle.
Yeah, let me add your thing back in. I do have this. This will have sound this time.
That'll work this time. Okay.
Enables the transfer of.
Well, sorry about what was that? Yeah,
go ahead.
Do you mind if I play this real quick while you're pulling up the heptone battle?
Yeah.
Value. The ability to transfer digital value makes blockchain technology arguably one of the single greatest breakthroughs in computing. However, since its inception, it's been severely limited in speed, scale, and scope, making it impossible for enterprise businesses to harness its true value. But all that's about to change. Meet DevX. Up until now, the current architecture of Layer 1 blockchains has been a single main net that records all of the data created by its users on a single chain. This means there is only one path where all transactions must flow, leading to congestion and added cost. DevX, however, is an entirely new type of blockchain. Thousands of independent blockchains or shards exist on the DevX network. These shards can instantly connect through our highly secure cross-shard mechanism. So when, for example, Alice sends Bob a payment, it's actually traveling instantly from the shard Alice's wallet is located on, directly to Bob's wallet on his separate blockchain. The DevX cross-shard connection creates the path between the two wallets in an instant, with state-of-the-art security. It also creates consensus with all other shards. This innovative design means that a wallet can be held in any shard across the world, be used for any purpose, and nearly instantly settle with any other wallet at a fraction of the cost of other blockchains. The design also enables DevX to settle transactions using 1/3 the current energy and CO2 consumption of Bitcoin, making DevX's environmental impact negligible. DevX's unique architecture provides a flexibility and speed not achievable on other Layer 1s. For example, when it's time to scale, much like a cloud service, we can spin up as many new shards as a project requires. If one shard can handle 1,000 transactions per second, 2 shards can handle 2,000 transactions per second. Developers can simply add as many shards as needed for any given scale. Devvio has implemented its cross-shard mechanism in benchmark tests with over 8 million cross-shard transactions per second. Integration is a breeze with DevX because transactions are actually created with a traditional Web 2 RESTful API. This means any one of the world's 25 million web developers can instantly and easily integrate the DevX blockchain to create powerful Web 3 applications. The DevX sharding architecture, RESTful API, and consensus algorithm makes the DevX Layer 1 blockchain not only the fastest blockchain in the world, but also shockingly cost-effective, infinitely scalable, and most of all, interoperable for everyone. It's time for a truly unblocked blockchain. It's time for DevX.
Powerful video, Tom. That beautiful video that really encapsulates it all the way down into 3 minutes.
Yeah, Adam on our team handled that and did a great job on it. Really came out well. I was excited when I first saw it myself.
Here's the question. I remember, gosh, it was like 3 years ago where my friend was telling me about Devvio, and he said, "Oh, it's this company that has a blockchain that can do 8 million transactions per second." And there was like this massive disbelief in me that's like, wait, it can do 8 million transactions per second, and I've never heard of them. I said, look, I've been knee deep in this space for 3 years. I would have heard of it. There's no way it can do that many transactions per second, because at the time the fastest was about 10,000 transactions per second. I said, there's no way. I guess I can't say there's no way. Perhaps there is, and I'm open to that. But I have to talk to the team because I just don't believe it. Have you run into that?
Yeah, we've gotten that a lot. Yeah, I think that's actually been one of the big barriers to us growing is we were so far ahead of where others were, it just didn't seem real. And things that don't seem real in the blockchain space usually aren't, right? In our case, I'm a traditional entrepreneur, have a lot of entrepreneurial experience. Everybody on our team, we have a world-class team. VCs that have invested billions of dollars into tech, people that have run, global companies, all kind of advisors on the team, and a really, really impressive team. And so, we're a group that's built real things and done real things. And so we took a really kind of real business model, perspective in the blockchain space. Actually, here's a good example. One of the very first things I did is I started looking and like, the blockchain space has these huge problems, not only in scalability and interactivity and ease of use and integration, but also things like fraud, theft, and loss, privacy, things like that. And at the time, nobody in the blockchain space was worried about privacy. And so, blockchain in general, the philosophy of it was it's open, anybody can come in and run it. You have decentralized governance, and it was built around an anti-establishment, down with government. But privacy is something that's implemented, when you're working within a regulatory context usually. And so we took a real world business perspective and said, if you want to build real world applications, you have to solve all those problems. And so we submitted a privacy application that's very broad, like it almost is just privacy in blockchain, and submitted it, many years ago. And the first PCT application, the kind of international response that we got on our PCT submission was that nobody else had done it. It's really like nobody else thought about doing privacy in a blockchain context, So and we've since had our very broad privacy patents issue in EU and Japan and Singapore, kind of global places. And so that's a good example where we were taking a real world business approach from the beginning that other people weren't. And I think the other thing that's kind of at play here is the blockchain space, ironically, being a anti-establishment type of beginnings, ironically, is a very kind of follower type of space. And I found that people say, oh, this is the way things are done, right? And so by taking a different approach, we took the original Bitcoin white paper and took the things that were brilliant in it, that said any two parties can independently transact. Anybody can independently audit the entire chain. Anybody that does independently transact can independently audit their transaction, and remove trust, from financial transactions. Things like that are, that's the brilliance of Bitcoin. So we took those kind of core philosophies, but then we said, if you want to make something work in a real business case and you want it to be able to scale, we chose some different design criteria, and in doing so, the sharding approach, where you have different blockchains that all coordinate versus one mainnet. That's the insight that gave us this ability to solve problems that other people couldn't. Almost all the other blockchains out there have one master record of truth for everything. And if you think about it, like a little bit, who cares if a CryptoKitty is on the same blockchain as a carbon credit, right? Like they don't have to be on the same chain. And so our insight was, why don't we build different chains for different applications? But then when you need, let the chains interact. And so that was the insight that allowed us to hit these massive numbers that other people haven't been able to get. And then the innovation was the way that you make those chains talk to each other, our cross shard mechanism. So that was the real invention that I think is really going to drive us into one of the premier blockchain companies.
We had a really good question, and then we'll jump back over to the game. WebZombie says speed usually comes with centralization. How centralized is it?
So there again, when you look at kind of things that are important in the blockchain space and things that people have kind of accepted as like, oh, you need this or this or this, it's you have to keep in mind it's based on assumptions, right? So like one person said, well, how many nodes do you have? Well, nodes are important when your philosophy is one mainnet that everybody can run, right? Because then you have things like 51% attacks, and you need nodes, many nodes, to prevent 51% attacks. But if your philosophy is different, it's like ours, where each shard is built towards a particular application, then you have different assumptions and you have different requirements to make it successful. So I just want to make that point. So one of the big design criteria that we decided on that's different from what else is out there in the space is we have a permission system. So for any given shard, we say these are the entities that can run that shard. So Bitcoin, anybody can come in and be a Bitcoin miner and run Bitcoin. Like if you're a Bitcoin miner, fundamentally, you're contributing to the consensus, which adds blocks to the blockchain. You're part of what is running Bitcoin. But if you say anybody in the world can come in and run one big mainnet, that's an incredibly difficult design criteria, right? And Bitcoin's brilliant in the invention of proof of work, which is an amazing algorithm. I mean, it's just brilliant. It's an algorithm, and it's a brilliant algorithm. And if you would have at the time said, we're going to create a system that anybody can run, including people who want to cheat, but the people who want to cheat won't be able to, good luck with that, right? But they did it, but they did it around this design criteria that anybody can come in and run it. So when you do that, there's costs, right? And that's where we can be millions of times less energy efficient. We can have, millions of times less cost, millions of times more scale. And I also would argue it's not needed to let anybody come in and run a blockchain. So to answer the question, is it centralized? It's centralized in its governance per shard. Each shard determines who can run the shards. So if a group of network or a group of music companies came and said we want to build a music blockchain service, we could set up a shard that all of the big players in the industry run it, right? Or if in our case, we're building also environmental applications, ESG applications. In time, I'd like all of the world's big companies to run our environmental shards so that we create trust across the world. But different applications have different needs. But then there's also a difference between decentralized governance and decentralized operations. So when it comes to decentralized operations, where you have many different nodes running a system, and then you have Byzantine fault tolerance, where if some of the nodes become corrupt, the system still runs. We are decentralized in our operations. So the overall, to answer the question, we're decentralized in our operations. We have permissions governance, but permission governance is a better solution for how most real world businesses want to run. So those are kind of the stakes in the ground that we built our system around.
Yeah, and what's often not talked about in blockchain is there's certain industries that cannot work on a permissionless system, like healthcare and health data. There are regulations for privacy that you can't have information about a patient in, say, Wyoming in the United States be stored not even in another state, much less like another country. And so that kind of data cannot go on a permissionless system unless they change not only rules in the United States, but other countries. And so those are first really going to go to a permission system.
I'll make one more point that once things are up and running, no one's really going to care, right? I think people are going to care about transparency and auditability. Those are key critical things. But like Axie Infinity, their Ronin blockchain was permissioned also, and people didn't care, right? As long as you're playing, you're earning the things, you're able to sell them, you're able to earn money. As long as you have a system that's running and doing what you need to do, people don't care.
And a lot of the big gaming ones are permissioned, right? Because Immutable X is permissioned as well.
Right.
Yeah. Let's jump
over.
Gaming
is a good example where you need the throughput that a better design requires. So.
Yeah. Now, do you mind if we jump back into the game, because I'd love
Sure.
for the
Yeah.
viewers to see like the Roblox portion of it too, on
Yes.
top of
Also,
what you're
I'll
doing.
put those up. Sure. Um, yeah. So here, let me share my screen again. Okay. So here is our heptone battle game, and so again, you've got all these different kinds of lit pets that you get. Each lit pet has defense, and attack. It's got its release level, like at what level it comes into the game. So you almost might think like, oh, a level 5 is better than a level 1, but that's not the case. It's built on your strategy. Sometimes you want to get a lot of characters out early. If they get out early, they're less powerful, but you can overwhelm, your opponent with just kind of an early release deck. Or you could have a couple characters that might have a power like push, for example, that push characters back, give you more time so that you can get your better characters out. And then you want to have characters across each branch of magic. Each lit pet has its place in the in kind of the magic system, and so one of 7 different branches of magic. And then once you've created a deck, you can go in and play. So so again, here a level 2 character can come out, and so here I've got this guy. He has a focus power, so he lets other characters come out more quickly. Um, so here I'm going to put this, and this character can fly, so he can come out more quickly. I'll do a push that pushes these back, and he's got ranged attack. So now you have kind of more of a tank character and then a ranged attack character. This character is more powerful and ranged and has frenzy, which lets him attack faster. I'll put this guy here, so he'll move forward and become kind of a tank for this distance character. I'll get people on this third line as well. And so this is the first round, and it's usually pretty easy. So and so you kind of go through, and there's people who have played in our community that have got up to level. So here's round 1. They've got above round 50. I can't get anywhere near that. So there's people who have really honed this. Actually, you can slow down the time. There's people that play at like 1/4, well, it's like 1/10 speed. So it runs super slow, but you can just really optimize, exactly what's going on. So that's a really fun game and ties in with the NFTs. The NFTs are crafted on a smart contract on chain. Um, so now let me go back, and um, I'm going to go into kind of our new lit land worlds. And the new lit land worlds are a new category that we're really expanding on now. And it's going to be really exciting. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold this week that I'm getting over. Okay. So here's lit land. And so I don't think I have any blocks. Let me see if I have any Creos in this account.
So the items for this, how do you get the items to use for building in this? Is it through the mining part?
Well, so you'll go through and you'll do quests a lot of times to get the items. Some of them you can craft later. Let me see if I've got enough dirt. Yeah, I've got enough dirt. I can create some. Um, so some items you can craft. So there I just created 50 dirt Creos. All right.
So you got to take the dirt, and then you've got to craft them into like blocks that you can then use for building.
Yeah, yeah. And so I crafted dirt, dirt blocks, but then there's all just like Minecraft, a bunch of different kind of blocks you can create, and then this is called a hollow land, and hollows HOLLOWs, not hollow like 3D, but hollow like in the Litcraft lore. Those are like tunnels, magical tunnels that transport energy or matter or information or things like that. So as you create this like a house or a store or something, it'll mirror it in a shared world called Lit World, and it's a gigantic cube planet that you can run around on, and you could buy some land on it, and then you put your stuff in it. In order to actually build, you need a any level pickaxe tool. So let me grab one of those real quick. Oh, I got it. Well, that's fine. I'll collect a level 9. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to go back into Litland. And now I've got in my inventory a level 9 pickaxe. Okay, so now what you can do is you can select your Creos, and then it'll actually go and build them. Just like Minecraft, right?
Wow.
You know, and so you can um, build stairs that you climb up and stuff. Okay, and then you can go into first person view if you want.
So
Right.
for those watching this, did you know that there was a Minecraft type game already on the blockchain?
Yeah, right. And then one of the things we're going to add, we've got all this built where you can do the Minecraft stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a like a tunnel over here, and then you can dig in this, and you can go down to a massive like mining underground area. And then what you could do is you can um, get rid of blocks. So
Oh, you have to select the pickaxe and then you
yeah, you
can
select the pickaxe
take it
to
out.
get rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can make my little blocks like that. Um, and then we've got over here. Oh, and then you can change your character. So you can make it female, change your skin color, whatever you want to do. And then over here we've got a game that's a phasic tower game is what's called. And so you can go in. It's a first person shooter, and so you battle, different phasic creatures. And a lot of the storyline in this is around this phasic incursion. And then there's these other portals. Oh, and we've got a whole new space area as well, where you can run out into space and fly around and mine, and then battle in space. Here, I'm going to go into a land called Oak Harbor, and so it's the Litland game overall is kind of like. I know there's a short. You can run through this forest to get to the town, but there's kind of a shortcut this way. So the overall lit land, game is kind of like that TV show Westworld, where they have these different themes that you go in. So this theme is like an ancient kind of fantasy theme, and it's all within the Litcraft lore. Um, and so you could come around and it's got the kind of graphics that Minecraft and Roblox has, for example, two of the most popular games in existence right now. So you've got this castle that you can go around, and you could find some quests. um, there's lots of different things you can collect. I don't know if we have let me see if there's a new concept, where there's this crazy mage. He's literally insane. And he starts the quest. I don't know if we have that in this build yet. Okay, looks like not. So his tower is right here, and that'll be in soon. So in the meantime, you can come over. I'll show you some of the characters. So if you go through these swamplands, you go to like a goblin land. If you go through these kind of dead lands, you go to a undead land. If you go into the forest over that direction, you can go to an elven land. And then from the elven land, you can go to another land that's got a forest where the phasic incursion has happened. So you can go and fight the phasic creatures. Um, so here in the castle, you've got characters that you can come up to. Um, and so you talk with Aya. Please bring me the following items for the types of blocks you would like to trade for. So there's some introduction text. I've already visited her in the past. And so here's different things you can use to get those Creo blocks. So if you want to get ground Creos, you have to bring 20 sand, 20 clay, 5 Gepresto seeds. Gepresto seeds you got to go out and scavenge for and find, and then a wand 6. And the wand 6 you get in that other game I showed, the merge game that I showed before. So you can talk to different characters. Again, some of the things that are coming up are all the new quests and story arcs and stuff. So when you talk to the mage in his tower, he'll send you over to talk to a shop owner back here in the shop. The shop owner gets you to get him a pet, which you craft in the main game. And then once you got that, you get a shovel, and then you can go meet with a character in the undead land, and the character in the undead land sends you on a bunch of quests that you ultimately get a phasic weapon, and then you can start doing the phasic quests where you battle the phasic creatures and stuff. You can also go into a land that, so again, in the Westworld themes, we have a space theme that's its own set of quests and story arcs and stuff. We've been putting a lot of those together, and then there's the overall lore of the entire game is based on Litcraft, which is a sci-fi fantasy universe. And this, in the sci-fi fantasy universe, the idea is that there's mages living on Earth and they're called the Lit, because they light their powers from generation to generation through a special mage called a flame. And then they refer to people that don't have magical powers as unlit. So we, all watching, Rain's crypto podcast are unlit, and so mages play this game, and so they can go in and they can interact in the unlit land, and the unlit land is our land, our reality, our world. You can solve murder mysteries and things like that. So there's a whole bunch of different themes, and just tons of more content. Like, we've been adding a lot of content quickly, lots of new quests coming out, so just tons of stuff that you can do in 3D. Here I'm making my way back around the way I was going before. So yeah, so that's a pretty good sampling of the different types of things you can do in Litcraft. But it's got a full 3D world, it's got building like Minecraft, it's got all sorts of casual games, and then the biggest thing we're working on right now, well, two things I'll mention. One is we're putting together this application called Lit Legion, where you'll be able to do real world tasks like tweet, to earn, and then all of those fit into this digital financial ecosystem. One of the things that we recently did is we paid for $10,000 worth of ocean cleanup, just as kind of a simple test, and I'd like to see it expand into many millions of dollars, where we're literally removing plastic out of the ocean. Every time we remove a ton of plastic out of the ocean, we get a number of plastics tokens that become part of this digital financial ecosystem, and you can build a business around it. So as you build that business, and you're in this virtual digital financial ecosystem, it's a digital financial ecosystem, you're working with tokens that literally are removing real world trash out of the environment. So things like that are pretty awesome. And then the big technical thing we're working on right now is our port to iOS and Android, so for mobile. And actually, here, let me show this. This is a world first. I haven't shown anybody this yet. So Rain's channel has seen it for the first time. I gotta find it first. Let's see. Okay, so here I'm bringing up an experience on my phone. So this is an early version, but you can go in and play the different kinds of earning games. So here's Litris, which is a block dropping game, and so camera's reversed, so I'm so it's got the different blocks that drop, and then you can kind of move them around, and so that's one of the earning games. And so we're getting all of the different earning games, and here it is running on mobile, for people can see for the first time. So once we get it on mobile, then you can have marketing efforts that really start to scale things a lot quicker and faster, and then I think things can just explode, so.
I'm seeing all the right setups, and for a lot of people, like, we're in this crypto winter, there's not a lot of new money coming in, and that changes. I remember Axie Infinity kind of pioneered some things, and it went through this lull where nobody knew it. They were literally giving away free Axies for anybody who would play their game, and almost nobody had heard of it. But they had something that I thought was an idea that would do well. And as people discovered it, it went absolutely viral. And I'm seeing the right building blocks with Litcraft. Like, it's fair to say in the audience that you did not know there was a blockchain game unless you follow Litcraft already that had such depth in it. Like, you had no idea that something like Minecraft was already on the blockchain. And And it's
Yeah,
just awareness, and that awareness is going to grow.
Cointelegraph did an independent review, and they listed us as the #2 blockchain game overall out of literally thousands. So Illuvian was #1, we were #2, Axie Infinity I think was number 18, Sandbox I think it was number 17, right? So here's a group of crypto experts that did an independent review, found out about us, and listed us really right at the top. And Illuvium isn't even out yet, right? So we're the top actually released blockchain game. According to Cointelegraph. So I think still a lot of people haven't heard of us, but I think that's going to change. And as we especially get onto mobile, starts being able to bring in many more people. We've got all the underpinnings for the digital financial ecosystem. One other thing I didn't show was our Glass Block marketplace, so you can buy and sell items. We've got our DevX web app where you can get on and see all of your items in your wallet. So we've got all of the pieces, again, for the whole thing to just explode. And what you said about Axie Infinity and the bear markets, that's what I've been seeing us doing. I think a lot of, if you're in the blockchain space and in the crypto space, a lot of what you're doing as a company is timing, and so we're positioning ourselves really to be, I'd like to see us become the dominant gaming company, not just with our games, but with our blockchain and our sharding. Many other games can come in. I've got a lot of personal licensing expertise, which we're working on. Hopefully we'll have things to announce there soon, where we can start bringing in much bigger games. So I'd like to see us become, in this next cycle, same as Axie, hung out during the bear market and exploded into that last cycle. I'd like to see us become really what becomes dominant in this next cycle. So that's the hope.
I think your positioning is perfect, and the stuff that you have out, and it's just awareness that people aren't aware of it. And so that awareness is going to grow.
Yeah.
Dom,
And mobile makes a big difference.
Mm.
That's why mobile's been so important for us. Is if you want to start bringing in much bigger numbers of daily active users, you have to market. But if you're in gaming, so there's blockchain gaming, but then there's the rest of the traditional gaming industry, and part of where we're aimed is really hitting traditional gamers. And if you want to do that, you need to be on Steam, and you need to be on Android, and you need to be on iOS. And games aren't allowed. Blockchain games really aren't allowed on those platforms. And so that's where we're doing kind of an overhaul, where our new architecture will allow it, but we'll still allow any items you create to be able to put on the blockchain where you own them. So we're kind of because we own the entire ecosystem, we can architect that it'll work, where it'll work within Apple's guidelines, but we'll also allow play to own. And so we've got the beginnings of that, and that should be out soon.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Tom, thank you for joining us. Tom has also agreed to stay over for a private chat with the Patreon members in our Discord just after this. Thank you, Tom, for joining our audience here on the Crypto Rain channel.
Yeah, thanks, Rain. Really appreciate you having me.